And then I just want to talk a little bit about this tiredness. So often the tiredness that we feel, because the world's in chaos, right? There's a lot of chaos. Do everybody agree there's a lot of chaos going on? Yeah, a lot of chaos. And what happens is, because we are consciously looking to shift our energy fields, we do it consciously. We all think about it. We all do some sort of practice of some kind. Whether it's just sitting, like I said, in the sun and breathing in the sun and connecting to nature. So the majority of people in the world are not doing that, right? So that makes it, every single one of us, a light worker, right? Because we're bringing in more energy. And what happens when the world goes into chaos is that our energy, because we're a light worker, can kind of get enmeshed or entangled with what Master Choa Kok Sui used to call the egregor, right? I love that word egregor because it sounds Scottish, doesn't it? But the egregor is actually like the mass consciousness. It's the part that's sort of enmeshed with everybody. So, if you watch the news, which I don't, but the more the more that you enmesh yourself with all of that, the more enmeshed you become. And then what happens is you're working not just on your own behalf, but on behalf of humanity. So above the soul star chakra, you've heard me talking about this before, but above this, the soul star chakra is roughly about 2 to 3 feet above your head, depending on how much spiritual practice you do. And then above that, there's another chakra. And above that, there are many, many more chakras. But the chakra above that is called the world service chakra. And so if you're building your soul star chakra, right, through practices, and I mean, like if I look at Dayama, now I've known Dayama for about, I don't know, probably about 15 years nearly. It's certainly more than 10, isn't it? It's got to be 12 years. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be 14 or 15 years. Now, if you've been doing something now and again for 15 years, right, your soul star chakra is much more illuminated than your average person, right? And that illumination then means that the world service chakra, and you're working, so normally most people are working the chakras in their body, right? But once you start doing practices and you illuminate more of your soul star, the world service chakra, I'll just come down so you see it, the world service chakra starts to bring energy down because you're being a world service as well as you're activating your soul, right? And so these chakras are doing this, right? And so when you're working on behalf of more than yourself. And that's why you can end up tired. And you need to really look at, especially if you do a lot of spiritual practice, you need to be embodying it, because otherwise you will get tired, because it's you can't clear the world's energy by yourself, right? No one person can do it. It's not possible. So that's why you tune into spiritual masters like Amma, and you tune into spiritual masters and their energy assists you. Now, it might be, whoever's right for you. It might be Lord Jesus if you've been brought up a Christian, but there are spiritual masters that are out there that actually, that's their job, is to help us as humanity to do that. And so it's really important that what I was saying about bringing the energy down and into the body, because spiritual energy naturally is quite light, right? And it will sit here and it can make you tired because you're out of your body. You're not physically bringing that energy enough into your body. Obviously, you're bringing some in, but you need to do more of it. So you need to be grounded. And that's why they talk about as above, so below, right? So all that spiritual practice that you do above, you have to bring it down into the below part, which is your physical body, right? And that's the way to move through spiritual progress in a more balanced way. And the more balanced you can be about it, the better you'll feel. So for years and years, I say this from experience, because for years and years, I lived completely almost outside my body. I'm not talking about it from like just an idea. Like I would come home when the kids went to school and I'd do like 2 hours of meditation, and then I'd be like just outside my body. And to be honest, from my, I'll be quite blunt about it. Like I had a bit of difficulty, let's say, difficult childhood. And so that feeling of being sort of semi-disconnected from my body felt really normal to me. And I liked it because it was a feeling I was used to, of being slightly out of my body. So the purpose of all of that is to bring you into alignment in your body. And that's what as above, so below means. Is when we talk about mental, emotional, physical, we mean the body. We're not talking about some other reality. We're talking about the physical body needs to embody that. And so it's kind of like climbing a ladder, which you would have heard before. And if you think about what I was talking earlier about the tree of life, which becomes Jacob's ladder. So the tree of life is like all of the Sephiroth that are our personal stuff that's around us in the tree of life, right? Which is the Kabbalah. It repeats and repeats 4 times, right? And that are the 4 dimensions of that we are working in: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Right? So when you're reaching high up into the spiritual realms, the purpose is to bring it back down into the physical realms. Does that make sense? Yeah. So any kind of exercise will help you bring in more. Like if you've meditated, then you walk. Now, my teacher for a long time was Master Choa Koksui, and he was a very, very strict teacher. And if you've been with Shakti Durga, he was not like her. He was really strict, right? And you had to do exactly what he said. You know, you just had to do what he told you. Anyway, his theory was that you should exercise, then meditate, then exercise, right? And the exercise part of what you do should be twice as long as the part you meditated. So if you meditate for 10 minutes, then for 20 minutes you should be exercising. And he did it through his particular set of exercises that it's probably downloadable now. Yeah, but the mistake that a lot of us make is that we're not connecting, because it feels very nice to go out your body and live in the spiritual world. A lot of the stuff, the worldly stuff going on, is it's a troublesome when you're not so connected in your body. But in the long term, it can make you very tired, very, very tired. So you do need to really work on the physical. And of course, we're all a little bit, this morning, we went for a walk yesterday. This morning, I woke up and my legs were sore. And I thought, God, it wasn't even a big walk. We went up the stairs, right? There's a lot of stairs near where I live. But I could tell the difference by not going to the gym, because, and I don't know about you, but most of us are in that position where we're doing less exercise than we would normally be doing, Anyway, does that make sense? Anybody got any questions about that? Does it make sense? Yeah, annoying, isn't it? Isn't it annoying? But it's true. So, yeah. Yep.
I'll just ask a quick question.
Yeah.
So Master Chui, he would
Sure.
say what? Yeah, sorry. To double the exercise, is that the before and after? Is the doubling?
Yeah. So you would know, because I know Mark's done a fair bit with my stuff. And so there's a set of exercises that he recommends that you do before and after. And it's done very fast.
Yes.
So regardless of how you're feeling, right, because you might be feeling a bit lethargic, you have to do these exercises fast. It's recorded, and you just follow the recording. It takes about 20 minutes either side, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. Yeah. And you do have to be careful and not getting imbalanced about that. And you'll know you're getting imbalanced if you're having more difficulty connecting with people. That's one of the ways you would know. It's because you're living in a different sort of atmosphere, if you like, And of course, with COVID, it's quite nice to live in a different atmosphere, isn't it? Yeah. Because then we don't have to deal with it, do we? We don't have to think about it. There's a lot going on just now around COVID. There's lots and lots of people feeling anxious, stressed, and that feeling of division that Karen was talking about, that feeling of division. And that's quite a big thing. I've been doing some work on that with a friend of mine, and the feeling for me, and I was explaining this to Sandy yesterday, but the feeling for me is very similar to when humanity, white humanity, thought that Black people were lesser than, right? And they totally believed that Black people, the colour of their skin, made them a lesser person. And so what's the similarity is the pattern, right? So I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm saying it's the pattern, right? And the pattern is that there becomes a them and us, and one is superior and one is inferior. And so the way it's going now is that the people who are vaccinated are now superior, and the people who are not vaccinated are inferior. And there's a lot of calls, just like Karen was talking about, for to be more compassionate, more kind, towards people's right to make their own choice. And when you think about it in like those historical terms, you can see that it's a pattern that repeats itself regularly. And you would find it historically in loads and loads of things. It just came up for me yesterday around Martin Luther King. Well, it first came up on Friday, but I worked on it yesterday around that same dynamic. Now, if you can imagine that dynamic energetically, so nowadays, most people are much less triggered by different cultures or different people of different races, right? We sort of believe that humanity is one race and that there are all kinds of different people within that human race, if you like. But there are still pockets around the world where that's not believed. And that's like 50, 60, I don't even really know, probably about 70 years ago, right? So when we are doing our work on it, this is a long-term thing, right? This thing with the COVID, this is not a short-term thing. This is that same pattern. And what it shows again, what it reveals is that humanity maybe hasn't progressed in as many areas as we'd like to think would progressed. Does that make sense? Because we're still running that pattern of division, inferiority and superiority. Yeah. And one of the ways that we can do that, and this will be controversial for some of you, but one of the ways that we can do that is we can believe that doing spiritual things because we want to makes us superior. And you have to be so careful of that, right? Because what you're doing is you're being a service to humanity and you have a different level of thinking than people around you. But it doesn't make us greater than. It doesn't, so we have to be very careful of our ego, because the ego loves going into we're superior for whatever reason, and it can be stuff. And I've been through all of this. I'm not saying this off the top of my head. I'm superior because I do more spiritual practice. I'm superior because I do regular practice. Like there's a million ways I could look at that, But the truth is that what you're trying to get to is humility, that you're being a service. So the only way you can think of it is that you're being a service, because otherwise, if you're doing it for your own sake and just your own sake, then you'll get caught, you'll trip up. And I've tripped up hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times. So it's very normal. It's just part of the journey to trip up. Don't go making yourself wrong because you've tripped up, because that's not right. That just doesn't help at all. So humility is the thing you're aiming for. And humility when you are being a light worker, humility in that you are being a service. And just understanding that it's a real thing you're doing. The more you can understand it as a real thing, the easier it will be to understand that you're doing service. And generally what happens for most people is they'll start to feel the energy shifting, and you'll know you're being a service. The knowing within you will be different, will increase, and then you'll know it's a service. So I hope that makes sense. And I notice I've lost Karen, which is a shame, but anyway. So let's go in now and let's see. Has anybody got anything they want to say about that, or share about that, or question about that? Does it help to understand it on a slightly different way? Elaine's nodding. Yeah. And the other thing, I'm just looking at Beanie there, and I know she's in the national park there, and I'm just saying, sometimes when we're like this and we're sensitive, we do need to people who are sensitive, we do need to get away from people sometimes, from cities. We need it like other people need, it becomes a necessity. So you have to honor that if that's part of your makeup. For me, it's just an absolute necessity. I just need to be among nature to recalibrate myself to nature. And I think that's what Beanie was talking about when she's up there now, recalibrating herself in the national park there. Yeah. So just know that. Now, if you're, for some people, it's the beach. Some people can recalibrate at the beach. Anything that has more negative ions will assist you. So I don't know if you know much about negative ions, but when you're around a lot of natural things, there's always more negative ions, which actually help us energetically. And the time that negative ions in general are more elevated is first thing in the morning, but just before the sun rises, as the sun's rising, which is why spiritual practices are normally done at that time, because it increases the actual energetic flow. as the day rises, as it were. So anyway, hope that makes sense. And I'm just going to put my hair up. Must be time for business now. Can't be having that long hair hanging about my head and annoying me. Right. No questions? Nothing to say? Anybody want to say anything? So if you can't exercise before and after, because we are human, I think sometimes we were meant to be superhuman for Master Joe, then exercise after. If you have to pick one or the other, do after. So that the energy integrate, the energy that you've embraced as you've gone up and out and brought in becomes more realized in your physical realm. Another way to do that is if anybody's done Art of Feminine Presence with me, that's another way to do it, is to do an AFP practice where you bring it down into your womb space, because it will ground the energy. Put your hands over your navel, bring the energy down underneath your hands, that kind of thing, so that you're grounded in your physicality, so that your meditation is not here in your head, but it's down here in the hara, womb space, whatever you want to call it. Okay, right, super important, I say. And if I look at myself, like the difference in doing those grounded practices and bringing that energy down into my navel, it has dramatically changed my life in the last 4 years, dramatically. I'm much more grounded than I was. I think more clearly. I have more rational thought than I did when I was thought I was very spiritually evolved, but really a lot of the time was just spent out of the world, not really connected in the world. So, okie dokie. So just closing your eyes and come down into the belly, into the hara. I am going to call it hara. You can call it hara dantian, womb space, secondary navel chakra. It's all the same thing. So there are there's more than three, but there are seeds of consciousness in the body, which are like our, what can I say, like a landing place for our energy, our soul energy. Yeah. And it's kind of like when we're physically in the body, we are kind of tied to those places. If you've ever seen Peter Pan where he ties his shadow to his feet, it's that kind of energy, like where we get tied to the energy. And most of us, we are tied pretty well in the head and the mental realm, and then we're also usually pretty good with the heart realm. And if you think of somebody that might be in jail for doing a really bad thing, then the chances are their heart's not connected, right? And for whatever reason that has occurred, they might never have experienced love. We don't know, but that would be a reason why the heart would not be connected. And then there's the hara. So just coming down to the hara. There's also one in the throat, but we will not go into that. Just down into the hara. And then just focus on your breath and the hara together. And just notice what's happening. So as we breathe in, our belly gets fat, because the lungs fill up with the breath. And as we breathe out, the belly deflates, just like a balloon, or bellows. Just notice what your body's doing. And don't try to change it, just go with what your body's doing. So all your focus in the belly. And as you do that, just be aware of the lower parts of your body. Be aware of your sex organs, so your vagina or like down low in the body. And just be aware towards the base of the spine. And so I'm going to be a bit more specific. Just be aware where the anus is. Just be aware of that part of the body. And be aware in the middle where the perineum is. And then be aware in the front where the sacral chakra is. And just move through those spots, starting at the back to middle to front, back to middle to front. And just do that for a little bit. Back, middle, front. And now just take your attention to the back and be aware of the base of the spine. And just be aware of the whole of the spinal column, the physical skeleton. And just let your attention come towards the heart. And we're going to call the energies today towards the heart first, rather than through the crown. So we call on the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves. We call on all of the great ones who love and assist humanity with unconditional love. We call on Sri Yukeshwar and Paramahamsa Yogananda, the Brotherhood of the Christ, the Sisterhood of the Rose. We call by name, beloved Sri Shakti Amma, Lord Jesus, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Lord Buddha, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Saint Germain and the Violet Flame. Call on the Goddess Bridget. We ask that we each be clear channels for divine light, divine love, and divine healing energy. We call on the Tree of Life and Jacob's Ladder. We call on the archangels of the Sephiroth. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, St. Alpha, Metatron, Zadkiel, Haniel, Shaniel, and Jophiel. Please be with us, guide us, and intervene on our behalf. Through the divine grace, so be it. And just being aware of all of that anchoring around you and anchoring around us as a group. And just gently breathe in through the crown this time and breathe out through the back of the heart. And breathe in again through the crown and out through the back of the heart. And do that 3 times. And then just be aware where the bottom of the heart chakra is at the back of the body. So we're just going to deal with the back chakras to begin with. Just be aware of the lower part of so imagine it's like a circle. And let's imagine you'd been colouring in. And you'd coloured in the heart circle and it sort of fades like a tie-dye. It fades, so the top's much lighter than the bottom. And just being aware of sort of the dark area at the bottom of the circle. Then be aware of the chakra beneath that, which is the solar plexus chakra. And just be aware of them sort of having channels to talk to each other. And these channels kind of look like lines of energy going down into the solar plexus. And the solar plexus sends energy up to the heart, and the heart sends energy down to the solar plexus, and they sort of talk to each other. I want you just to focus on that and see whether you can feel the energy shifting up and down. And just use your intention to move it in the downward direction and the upward direction. So as I'm looking at, there are 3 channels, one in the middle and one on either side. Let's focus on. Just being aware that the heart also has the ability to transmute energy, same as the hara. So just for clarity, in men, the hara is a little bit further down than it is for women. And it's just the nature of that voidal energy being in the womb space that it's just a little bit further down for men. And just let yourself focus and just enjoy the feeling. It's often very pleasurable to just feel the energy of the sacral energy and the hara energy, the heart energy, and the solar plexus energy, which is really truly about courage. Courage to know yourself. Courage to put in a steadfast boundary. Courage to know what's right for you, regardless of other people, what they think, what they say. But it's all just their projection, their fears. And that when you truly come to know yourself, who you are, it won't matter. It just simply won't matter. Because you will know that it's nothing to do with you. The whole journey of life is about learning to love yourself, respect yourself, fill yourself with love, kindness, respect. And I've had recent explorations into the concept of self-doubt. I've been aware of the energy of self-doubt. This is often where we think we can't do something. When we get anxious or overwhelmed, it's often self-doubt that's the underlying kind of core issue, feeling like we can't do enough, we can't do anything, we can't change it, we can't fix it. So we go into doubting ourselves, doubting who we are or what we came here to do. And this is a pandemic at the moment, self-doubt. And in the inner worlds, there are tester beings. And these tester beings absolutely love, and they feed upon the energy of fear and doubt. So we talk a lot about fear, but we don't always talk about the doubt that it creates. Just being aware of that. These tester beings love it. As soon as we have a little bit of doubt, they'll pile it on. They'll, almost like help you to self-criticize. And it's just energetics. It's all energetics, everything. Now, just being aware that there are tester beings. However you perceive them is fine by me. I like to sort of perceive them as little gremlins. They would like me to perceive them as giant demons, but I like to perceive them as just little gremlins. Because truly, that is what they are. They're just little gremlins. And what they're showing us is where our mindset is not, it's incomplete, or is not fully on board with how marvelous we are as a divine being here on the planet, and the miraculousness of our beingness on the planet, and the entire miracle of being a human body, being in a human body, and the miracle that is. They love the other side. That's what they feed on. The self-doubt, the self-criticism, not believing in yourself. I want you just to remain steadfast. Just be aware of the energy of Durga. So you would all know Durga energy because, well, you all carry a lot of Durga energy and I carry a lot of Durga energy. So you would definitely have felt it. But just being aware of the Durga energy. Durga is like the courageous one, the one who takes no prisoners, that kind of energy. And part of the Durga energy is the energy of Kali. And Kali is like the queen of the demons or the gremlins, however you've chosen to perceive it. And Kali, they must obey Kali, right? Because she created them. And part of their job is to show us the polarity within us, the division within us. And then, of course, we have this really in some ways marvelous external division that we're seeing in the outside world of people who are vaccinated, people who are not vaccinated, people who want to make the choice for themselves, people who are completely obedient to whatever the government tells them, people who are so fearful that they report on others and call the police and say, my neighbour's got a friend drowned, stuff like that. You know, and another time in history when this was rife was with the time of the Nazis. It's the same dynamic. It's the same principle when it was the Jews and other religions. And the Jews were the ones who were persecuted. And honestly, if I was a better history buff, I'd probably be able to give you 100 of them. But anyway, I'm not much of a history buff. But just being aware of that same principle of creating division and making somebody for some reason inferior and somebody for some reason superior. And we all have a tendency to believe that our view is the superior view, regardless of which side of that fence we sit on, to vax or not to vax. We believe our view to be superior. And that's human nature. That's just the way that we're kind of built. Yeah. And the call there is then for just to be more really neutral and just allow people to have their own opinions about what's right for them. And just being aware, because this is something I've been aware of in a number of people, that when people are coerced into having something like a vaccine, when they've not come to of their own conclusion, there is a massive, massive disrupt within the system, because you're going against your nature, your true nature, which is telling you that this is a bad thing to do or this is a good thing to do. But it's the coercion. The coercion is a very difficult thing to deal with, that you've been coerced into doing something. And what it does is it takes away the adult principle that we can't make up our own mind and turns us all into children. And the governments then become like very authoritarian and not very nice parents. So just let yourself just broaden your perspective, whichever side of that fence you're on, because it's different for everybody. But just feel the rightness of your decision, whatever that is for you, the rightness. Just keep feeling it. And just being aware of your sovereign nature, which means you're in charge of yourself. We spoke about this a little while ago around that we're not in a 50-50 relationship. Nobody is ideally in a 50-50 relationship. We're either in a relationship 100% and both people are in it 100%, or we're not. It's not a 50-50 thing. Just being aware of any pressure from family members, or you might be feeling externally about to do one thing or the other. And just being aware of that, and just be aware of your sovereignty. So what sovereignty means is that we're like the queen or the king of our own beingness, our body, our mind, our energy, our enthusiasm, all of our energetics. All of our emotions. So just imagine that there was a crown, and just take a good look at what the crown looks like, first of all. And it might be a very fancy crown, or it might be a simple crown, it might be a crown of thorns, whatever it is, just see the crown. And this, of course, if we want to get all esoteric about, this is what they're talking about with Jesus, was the crown, the sovereignty of Jesus. Just being aware of it. And the crown in energetic terms is a real thing. It's an energy. It's a sovereignty. Sometimes when you look at the Pope and you see the Pope wearing that big hat that the Pope sometimes wear, that represents the crown of sovereignty. And if you look at pictures, particularly religious pictures across time, you would often see that halo around the head. That represents the crown as well, the crown of sovereignty. And just be aware of the crown of sovereignty. And so I'm just aware, Elaine, of Indy, and I'm just aware of her crown of sovereignty being intact. So I'm just going to, I know she's not actually with you now. I think Chris has taken her. I'm just going to protect Indy first. I'm just going to just do that just because that's the best thing to do. So we're all adults. We can make up our mind about that, but I want to preserve what she already has. And that's it. That's it. And then just being aware of your own crown of sovereignty. So as we grow up, our crown of sovereignty is challenged all the time. You know, our parents tell us what to do. And, you know, your upbringing will dictate where you're at with your crown of sovereignty. But it's something that we're attempting to recover fully. It's what, I guess, in some ways, what being embodied or enlightened means. Just being aware of the crown of sovereignty, be aware whether it's how far it is from you, whether it's near or far, and just bring it closer to you. And just in your mind's eye, just being aware of that crown. And then when you're ready, just place the crown of sovereignty on your head. Imagine that it gets put on your head. It might be somebody else putting it on your head, or it might be you putting it on your head. Both are fine. And you might find it might be like a little bit bouncy, or it might want to jump off. That's all okay. Okay, that's all normal. If it's a bit bouncy, just imagine it a little bit higher up so that it can come down to you when you're ready for it. But just be sure that it's in the Antakarana. And just relax and just know it's there. And just let yourself just attune to it a little bit more. And I want you just to check what it looks like. And this time I want you to simplify it as much as you can. So if you've got lots of jewels and stuff, just let them just let the crown simplify itself. It will simplify. And just be aware of wherever it is within your beingness now, within the Antakarana. So somewhere in your field. And just being aware of whatever masters you are connected with. Might be Shakti Durga, might be Sri Shakti Amanarayani, might be Lord Jesus, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Lord Buddha. Any of them, or all of them even, Saint Germain. And just be aware that they help you. So it's a form of mastery to have the crown of sovereignty. So they help hold that in place until you're master. So we're reaching up to them and they're reaching down to us. So just imagine that there's a few of them, just you can choose them. They'll naturally be there anyway. And just allow yourself to just attend to that you have this crown within your beingness. So just focus on that for a bit. I'm just going to have a little bit of, just going to do a little bit of chant and just focus on the crown. Just imagine Ganesha removing any obstacles underneath the crown. Just relax. Let me help you more. Just take a breath in through the crown, just release everywhere. And I want you to repeat, you can either say this out loud or whisper it. And just repeat, I consciously choose to release all gremlins from within my systems that hold me back or keep me stuck in ways of the past. Through divine grace, so be it. Breathe in through the crown, hold the breath briefly, and then just release everywhere, especially through the head. And just being aware of Ganesha, and just being aware of a silver Ganesha, a very special silver Ganesha. So Friday was a very special celebration of Ganesha, and Sri Shakti Amma did a really big puja to Ganesha. And as you know, Ganesha is the remover of obstacles and blockages. And what you might not know is that Ganesha also creates or helps us to create the obstacles and blockages that we are working on, that we are learning from. So just being aware of Ganesha and just being as aware of this very large silver Ganesha. And just being aware of the consecration of this Ganesha, which just means activation, really, consecration and activation of Ganesha. And just imagine that there was this big Ganesha sitting in your crown chakra. So Ganesha's natural place to sit is in the base chakra. But just imagine that there's a big Ganesha in your crown chakra. And then just imagine that Ganesha kind of duplicates himself, and being aware of a big silver Ganesha in your heart, and he's sort of sitting towards the back of the heart, so sort of more in the back than at the front. So he's not right in the middle of the body, he's sort of back in the body, but just be aware of that duplicated silver Ganesha. Just be aware of him sitting underneath the feet of the Ganesha in your crown. And then being aware as the Ganesha duplicates himself again, and this time the Ganesha comes down and resides in the sacral area, the belly area. So there's 3 Ganeshas within your body. And then just being aware of the crown Ganesha and be aware as he duplicates himself again. And this time he is underneath your feet. So he moves down and underneath your feet. And just being aware of the Ganesha in the earth, Ganesha in your base, Ganesha in your heart, and Ganesha in the crown, upper part of the being. Just being aware of how small your head is in relation to the rest of your body. And just be aware of Ganesha kind of floating down. So the crown Ganesha is, the base of him is in your throat. So Ganesha is sort of taking up all of your head space. And there is another Ganesha, just be aware as he duplicates himself again and moves up into the soul star chakra. So above your head, in your heart, and in the belly and down the base of the body, and then underneath the feet. 5 Ganeshas. just being aware of these 5 Ganeshas, and just being aware of the 5 elements of metal, which most Ganeshas that come from India would be made of these 5 elements. And if you've ever been to the centre, we have a small Ganesha in the Shakti temple that's made of the 5 elements, and the big Ganesha in the reception area is made of the 5 elements. So just being aware of those Ganeshas, that they have those 5 different qualities. And then just be aware that these Ganeshas internally inside you are silver Ganeshas. They are a replica of Amma's Ganesha. And just let yourself just trust and have faith that they're there. If you're not particularly visual, then just relax and let yourself feel it. Just let yourself just trust that they're there. And just let the Ganeshas, so the top Ganesha, just let the top Ganesha in the crown chakra, just move that Ganesha down. Be aware of that Ganesha. It's at the base of the Ganesha in your throat. And then being aware of the Ganesha energy also in your Ajna chakra. And just being aware, if you could actually see this, you'd now have like a Ganesha head on top of your head. Let the Ganesha just flow through. You just sit with it and allow it. I want you just to silently chant inside your head, Om Namo Narayani, Om Namo Narayani, Om Namo Narayani. Do that a few times. And I want you to chant inside your head, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, which is another name for Ganesha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. And just remember, the purpose of Ganesha is to remove the obstacles and blockages that prevent us from seeing clearly that which is going on in our life, that which we're involved in. And we're all involved in this situation with COVID, every single one of us. If when I was talking earlier, you really related to sort of being too far out of your body, then I want you to just bring your attention down into your hips and your sacral region. If you feel you're pretty balanced, then just stay with the Ganesha in the head. Or stay with the Ganesha in the head for a little bit longer. But if you know you have an imbalance, then bring your attention down to the base of the spine, sacral area, and the hips. And Maria, for you, definitely bring the energy down to your hips. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep bringing it down. And now I want you just to imagine the tree of life. So in the tree of life, there's a central column, and there's a column on the left and a column on the right. The column on the right is called the pillar of discipline, and the column on the left is called the pillar of mercy. And you know, when you were little and you were learning to ride a bike and you had sort of training wheels, 2 little training wheels on either side. Well, that's kind of what the tree of life does in a way. It sort of rocks back and forth from side to side, and it keeps you balanced. And so sometimes you need to be in the discipline side, and sometimes you need to be in the merciful side. And it is balancing these 2 things, same as I was talking about with Master Choa in the exercise. It is balancing this that brings us into equilibrium. So we can have periods of time, and I definitely had this, where we do a lot of discipline practice. And then we might find that we need to be kind to ourselves and give ourselves a break. And we need to come into that balancing act. So I'm pretty sure that this is an Australian thing as well. It's called a seesaw. And just being aware of the center of which part of the body will we do? We'll do the heart first. And just being aware of the seesaw nature of the the pillars on either side. So the pillar of discipline and the pillar of mercy. And just be aware through the heart area. So just to give you another visual of what this looks like, if you can recall like what a milkmaid would look like, from centuries ago, where they would milk the cows, and then they would put a pail of milk on either side, and they would put a brace across their shoulders, and they would lift the milk on either end of the brace. And then the trick, of course, was to walk without spilling spill as little milk as they possibly could. And therefore they would remain very straight, very erect, in order to be able to carry the milk like this. So in some ways, excuse me, this is a representation of what it's like to balance your energy field. So just imagine that you were trying to do that. You were trying to balance your energy field through the heart, first of all. And just being aware across the shoulders. So there are Sephiroth outside the shoulders called Hokmah and Bina. Let's just be aware of that balancing across the shoulders. And just be aware of a balancing act as if there was a similar sort of apparatus through the forehead and the Ajna chakra, balancing you in that part of the body, in that part of the brain. And just balance you across your body. All of these balances are across the body, the left and right. And just let your body relax. And just let yourself just receive that balancing. And very gently, just be aware of an energy flow from front to back that crosses over that balance in the ajna. So that you end up with like a cross in the center of the ajna. It's actually in the center of the head, not the center of the ajna. So just hold it there. You've heard me talking about this before. This is the pineal gland. Just be aware of the part that is slightly further back in the head. It's called the Bindu point. And so the Bindu point is kind of like the back of the head. The Ajna chakra is the front of the head, and the point in the middle, which forms a little triangular thing, is the pineal gland or pineal gland. It's also sometimes called the blue pearl. And when you find it, you'll find that your body will naturally start to relax more deeply than it has. And as you do that, just give permission for that. Don't go looking too hard for it. It's not something you can't kind of, find it and pin it down. It's something you just have to let flow. And just being aware as the pineal gland comes into balance and harmony. Just be aware of all of the divisions that have ever occurred in humanity's consciousness for whatever reason. Just being aware that in this point, this is the point of balance. This is where the kindness, compassion, the mercy, it's where it sort of lives. It's this natural place. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. May light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May love descend on earth. From the centre where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. May it seal the door where evil dwells. Through the divine grace, so be it. Be aware of this point of light inside your head, and just stay with it and just relax. Let your body relax. There should be no thought. If you have thought, just think of a soft word or chant that will just help you to slow it down. Just going to spend a moment or two here. Just going to see if I can find a particular piece of music. Just keep letting your body relax. Stay in that center. Just taking a big breath in. Let that flood through all of your mind, your body, your energy field. Let your body really receive the energy. Really receive the energy. Knowing that you're enough, that there's nothing to add to you. There's only things to discard, masks, ways of being. Discarding everything that is not this, that is not the real, authentic, kind, good, generous you. Just know yourself as this. You already know yourself as this. This is who you are. Just keep allowing. Pull the energy in. Just being aware of each other for a moment or two. Just being aware of all of us on this journey, oversouled by Sri Shakti Amma. Just being aware of the goddess Narayani, made up of Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. All of the energies, all of the universal energies. And just taking a moment, staying still inside your head, just feel how that feels. And just relax. And we just start to say thank you to yourself. Just thank you to the universe, to all of your guides, teachers, friends. Just thinking thank you for the journey that we've shared today. This journey that we make with each other. Knowing that we can't do it alone. We need each other. And just place, if you can, if it's comfortable for you. If it's not comfortable, just stay as you are. But if it is comfortable, you just place your hands on your navel chakra and just be aware of that point. And just imagine that all of the energy, all of the excess energy begins to flow towards that secondary navel chakra. Gets stored in the secondary navel chakra. If you want, you can make circular clockwise movements and wind the energy in. Or you can just sit with the left hand on the bottom, the right hand on the top, across your, just underneath the navel, like I showed you in my belly. Then just gently relax and just hold this position. Just be aware of all of the blessing energy. We call Sri Shakti Amma to give divine blessing to each and every one of us, to allow it to flow through our bodies, our minds, our energy fields. We ask for the blessings of Ganesha to help us to clear the obstacles and blockages in our lives and to see ourselves more clearly as the divine beings that we are, that we're enough, that we belong, that we are the humans. We are the species that is human. And that we are innately lovable because we were made by the divine. We don't have to do anything to be lovable. We just are innately lovable. And that we've always been doing the best we could, even if sometimes we got things terribly, terribly wrong. So just relax. Just bring some of the attention towards the front of the head, towards the Ajna chakra. Keep holding the navel if you can. And we're just going to have another song. I want you just to enjoy this. Just a moment. Let's pull this in.
I take a small step, you take 10 towards me. I open my heart and your love rewards me. There's no more fears that I need to stop for. You give me courage and you give me much more. Your song is ocean, I'm deep in its flow. A song I'd forgotten, but now I'll always know. I'll carry my mountain to where it must go. I've tried everything else, and now you're all I need to know. I hold your hand and I know you won't let go. I dreamt of a life that looked perfect to me, but your vision reaches beyond what I see. Today I realize how far I've come. I've been the night and now I'll be the sun. Your song is the ocean, I'm deep in its flow. A song I'd forgotten, but now I'll always know. I'll carry my mountain to where it must go. I've tried everything else, and now you're all I need to know. I hold your hand and I know you won't let go. I'm falling in, 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 I'm falling in. I take a small step, you take 10 towards me. I open my heart and your love rewards me. There's no more fears that I need to stop for. You give me courage and you give me much more. Your song is the ocean, I'm deep in its flow. A song I've forgotten, but now I'll always know. I'll carry my mountain to where it must go. I've tried everything else, and now you're all I need to know.
And just taking a big breath in through the ajna. Just being aware of all of the individual blessings I've just given, and pull it in through your ajna chakra into you, blessings specifically for you. And whatever you've got going on in your life, may it bring the highest outcomes for you. That's us in full faith, through divine grace, so be it. And then just being aware of your crown chakra, and just pull the blessing in through the crown. And just breathe that into you, let it come down to your heart. Be aware of the energy spreading out from your heart to your arms, down to your hands. And then just using your hands, either place them facing upwards or outwards, whichever feels more comfortable. And you don't have to move much to do that. And just intend that the earth is a small ball in front of you. And a bit bigger, maybe like the size of a tennis ball. Just imagine the earth that size, and gently just breathe in through your crown, send blessing energy to the earth. And just see the earth spinning as it does. Then just gently sending waves of gentleness all around the world to all of the people that are living in fear, that are overwhelmed, anxious. And just being aware of the vaccinations themselves in those little bottles, where it comes as, I think most of them come as like multiple doses, 10 doses to a bottle. And just gently breathe in through your crown and gently through your right hand. Just send kindness to those little bottles. Imagine that there's millions of them. Just see them being in the distribution centres where there's small amounts. Then just work backwards through time where they've come from. All the way back through time when they've been on delivery trucks, when they've been in warehouses, when they've been in factories being made, or the people that were involved with them, all the way back to the beginning of their creation. All of the scientific study, all the way back through all time, space, all lifetimes, all dimensions to their origins, wherever that may be. Don't worry about where their origins were. All the way back. And then bring it forward. And if you are having the vaccine, send love to the vaccine that you're having. Just think of the name of whatever one you're having. And send love to it all back through time to its origin. And then bring it back from the origin of it back to this present day. If you've already had the vaccine, then just send the energy into your body. And if you haven't yet had the vaccine and you are having the vaccine, send it to wherever you're going to be receiving it. And if at this point in time it's not right for you to have the vaccine, still send the energy backwards and forwards through time. And sending love to your immune system, your throat, your powers of communication. Be aware of the crown of sovereignty. Hold it on your head and relax. And just enjoy the feeling of being at one as best you can with this newcomer to our world. As we give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves. We give thanks for each other, for this coming together. We give thanks for the blessings and all of the assistance. We give thanks for the crown of sovereignty, which we now ask be returned to its rightful place within our beingness. And we ask that any time we need this crown, it be available to us. We ask that we each come to truly know and consider our own boundaries, to recognise that we are enough, we are lovable, and that we belong, that we are as we are, exactly as we are, part of the human race and part of humanity. And that there's nothing we need to add or do to ourselves to make ourselves more lovable. And just let that just sink in, let the heart receive that energy through the back of the heart and into the front of the heart. Start to bring the energy down through your body, through the heart, down towards the secondary navel. Be aware of your hips. And just allowing your spirituality to be grounded. Take the energy to the sacral area. And then take it down your legs, past your knees to your ankles. Dwell for a moment in the ankles and take it out through the soles of your feet and into the earth star chakra beneath your feet. And then when you're ready, rub your hands together and place your hands across your eyes, just to give your eyes a bit of relaxation as we give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves. Thank you, thank you, thank you. May we each continue to be clear channels for divine light, divine love, divine healing energy, and divine power. May we be divinely guided and divinely inspired. We ask this in full faith. Through the divine grace, so be it. And coming back when you're ready. Beautiful little Indiana, isn't she gorgeous? She looks like you, Elaine. Yeah, I do think so. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So when you think of your inner child and the innocence of the child, here we have a beautiful example today. Just smell the ghee from the ghee lamp. Just the flame must have just gone out there, really. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get you to just check in how you are. Beanie, we might start with you.
I feel really relaxed. Thank you. I can feel amazing, like clearing. I can't remember what was happening, but you said something about clearing energy, and I just felt it like boom, disappear. So that was yeah, it felt like it cleared a lot of stuff. Great. I love the crown of sovereignty.
The crown of sovereignty. I've never heard of that before. I just wanted you to know, like, it was as new to me as it was to you.
That's lovely.
I knew what it was though, funny. It's weird. It's really interesting. It blows my mind sometimes, honestly. I think, my God, how on earth do I know that? But I don't. Denise.
Yes, I'm feeling very relaxed and yeah, just peaceful, I think. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was lovely. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I am uploading them to YouTube. So I'll try and put the link thing in my messenger thing so you can listen to them again.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Actually, just let me stop recording when I think